thought it'd be useful, if I may, Gilbert, just to be very, very quick, just to remind ourselves what the British Council is, and this is a definition. A lot of our work is with children, either directly or indirectly, so we really do try to embed child protection, child safeguarding, values, if you like, or philosophy into. What this is really about is encouraging more widespread and better quality teaching, learning and assessment of English. It's not about any concept of linguistic imperialism or anything like that. It's about creating opportunity for teachers and learners of English to improve their life opportunities.
I just also wanted to highlight the previous partnerships and collaborations with the World Vision. In 2012, we had a very successful policy dialogue event, which was a forum held in Kampala, which saw us bring together over 500 students, teachers, journalists, and civil society practitioners and policymakers. It was a very successful education forum, but we've never really worked together to do anything around this as a consortium. We believe that both parties could implement programs with wider impact. We have the capacity, the both of us have the capacity to reach more numbers and to reach a better and more specified demographic. We feel that both parties should dissect and fully utilize the British Council's teacher professional development and curriculum improvement programs to provide more impactful joint programs. We feel we have a lot, we've just scratched the surface. The British Council has a lot more to offer in teacher development and in professional development overall for teachers. And finally, we feel that both parties should explore the possibility of coming together to support policy dialogue forums, because what we had was really successful, and we feel that teachers, students, policymakers, Ministry of Education should continue to come together, with the help of the both of us. We think it's something we can look at going forward. In Uganda, I'll just take you through our schools and literacy work that we did in 2013. We continue to do one of our biggest projects, which is connecting classrooms, which is basically connecting classrooms in Uganda with classrooms in the UK in a bid to promote collaboration, best practices and curriculum improvement. We worked with over 500 schools, primary and secondary, all over Uganda. And also we worked with teachers. We continuously work with teachers, improving their views towards global citizenship and other curriculum development areas. We worked with at least 500 teachers on that. We have our school leadership training course, which we imparted on at least 260 teachers countrywide, which is basically a course which teaches school leaders to practice more, better leadership.
So let's expound our thinking. They say that let's not be limited by what we see today.
No, absolutely.
Yes. So
I think your focus on educational outcomes and learning outcomes is absolutely fundamentally right. It's very important. One of the, as we move towards 2015 and we look at to what extent the NDGs have or have not been achieved, moving towards 2015, talking about access, talking about dropout rates and completion rates and things like that, but it's still a massive job to be done. And one thing that I think all of the parties involved in education are kind of signing up to now is this concept of leaving no one behind. And that includes the girl child, it includes all communities essentially. And you're absolutely right. It's a combination of interventions which is going to make that possible.
And also the other element which we focus on is on local level governance, which in our context we call it citizen voice and action, CVA in brief form, which is mainly looking at how do we empower the communities to both demand but also utilize the service. We went through a process whereby we did some citizen empowerment to a level where they can just demand. But now we say no, demanding not just enough. You need also to utilize your access. Working as a team, that's why I checked that before. Let's focus more on policy dialogue, that we involve the government as well, local government.
Possibly national government.
National government as well, that's national and local government as well, because there's that synergy there. But also some of the things are working with the cultural issues themselves. where people think, yeah, not now education, maybe in the future, my children should grow up a bit, or I need to go and get married or whatever. So there's those cultural issues we need also to work on. Issues of early marriage becomes part of our focus. We have an ambitious objective on education, which talks about children educated for life. That's one of our outcomes. So World Vision now is driven by outcome thinking, which is in the last 7 years or so. We are more on outcome thinking. So on our education, since our topic of discussion, we say children are educated for life, both boys and girls. That is a very ambitious statement. But also when you say educated for life, it means you need non-education interventions to achieve the education outcomes. So that's how we see our driver, that when we're talking education, we should not just think about education intervention to achieve education outcomes.
Mm-hmm. I think, when I see these course proposals coming out, they're more and more, they're bigger, they're more and more complex, and they're more and more multidisciplinary. And I think we recognize that we have a certain niche here, certain expertise, but more and more it's about our ability to work with other partners. And I think for me the exciting bit here is at the end, as you say, how else can we build on what we've got now? Because we have a really, really strong partnership, and it's like gold dust in a way, that trust that's built up over now a couple of years with between us. So it'd be great to see how we can maximise that in the years ahead.
And you're right. I mean, a lot of these calls for proposals are increasingly complex. All of them demand that we work in partnership. So we should keep a joint eye on what's in the pipeline.
Where there's some synergy between us.
That's right. So we work quite a lot increasingly in the civil society field as well. We've done some interesting work with youth communities, empowering youth communities to take part in the democratic governance process. We've just signed a new contract with the EU to strengthen institutions and communities in promoting women's rights. But both of these contracts we cannot do on our own. We're delivering with national or local partners. So that we can't emphasise enough. I know we're singing from the same hymn sheet, as it were, but we can't emphasise enough how important partnership is in today's world.
Our teams are waiting for a guidance, and now tell them, look here, those who budgeted for leadership training, please now move. I think for maybe as a way forward, we've started on that secret training. We should be rolling it out very soon. I intend to roll it to our macro program areas, and then I'll bring on board Tororo, and that one should start as soon as next holiday, April we shall do that. Then we should also be moving into strengthening school leadership and management. I definitely believe that, like you do, that if you have a good head teacher, then you have a good school. So and you actually, if you look at the period results, those are reports from head teachers.
Right, thank you. Well, first of all, I'm delighted to be here at the World Vision offices to formalise what has been a very constructive and mutually beneficial partnership, informal partnership that we've been running over the past few years here in Uganda. We've collaborated on policy dialogues, we've collaborated on English language, capacity building, and what we're hoping to do now is build on that and do more together to create greater impact, wider reach, and better learning outcomes. We can only do that in partnership, so we're delighted to formalise our partnership with World Vision today.